So it is going live. And the stream has started. It's also live on YouTube.
Okay,
ahead,
so ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for our first in a series of monthly discussion groups, Zoroastrianism Outside the Box, hosted by the NAMC Institute of Zoroastrian Studies. The North American Morbid Council is a consortium of morbids of North America dedicated to serving the religious and spiritual needs of the North American Zoroastrian community. The NAMC Institute of Zoroastrian Studies is an educational arm of North American Morbid Council with an objective to train morbids and impart knowledge of Zoroastrianism to fellow Zoroastrians and to general public. The NAMC Institute of Zoroastrian Studies facilitates this event to promote knowledge through free but respectful discussions and debate. The views and opinions expressed during the discussion are those of the presenter and the participants and do not reflect the official policy or position of the NAMC. So following a presentation by Faribos Ranaman on Mazdiyasni calendar, we encourage you, the participants, to ask questions and share your views on the topic. Please feel free to raise your hand to ask a question or make a comment, or post a question in the chat feature. And now, I would invite NAMC President Edward Arda Minochiromji to introduce today's presenter, Faribos. Go ahead, Arda sir.
Thank you so much, Tempton. And again, we would like to thank Mebad so much because every time he helps us with hosting these meetings. Tempton and I are both technologically challenged. So Mebad, thank you so much. Anyways, today's presenter, as Tempton said, is Faribos Ranamun, and most of us know him through various ways. But more importantly, he has been a significant contributor towards Zoroastrianism, and he lives in, I believe, Vancouver, and was also the president there. So he has contributed a lot to our community. His background, very briefly, is that he was born in Yazd, Iran, and educated in Bombay, India. Faribos gained a unique perspective of Zoroastrianism through 40 years of his own research. And since 2015, he has compiled and published the Mazdiyasni calendar that is based on the Mundahishan. It's a unique calendar, and he will give the site on which you can go and refer to if you want to follow up. With that, the floor is yours, Faribos.
Thank you, everyone.
We can't hear you, Faribos.
Oh yeah, I don't know how it went on unmute. Okay, sorry. The Gathas of Zartush, Yasna 30.2 bestows upon us Zartushtis the privilege of freedom of choice, to listen and consider with an open mind and decide each one for ourselves. This freedom, at least as far as the Zartushti religious matters are concerned, no court of law can take away. So listen with an open mind. Today, I am here to present to you the Mazdiyasni calendar as mentioned in the Bundahish. It has always been there in the Bundahish. I'm not presenting anything new. I'm just drawing your attention to it. But as you are aware, we have 4 different calendars that we follow. The Kadmi, the Shahanshahi, the Fasli as followed in India with Nowruz fixed on 21st March, and the Fasli that is followed in Iran with Nowruz based on the vernal equinox, which can be on 19, 20, or 21st of March. Now, by the way, the Fasli word is an Arabic word, and it means season. And Fasl means chapter. This calendar was introduced by Khurshidji Kama in 1906. The Mazdiasni calendar is the only calendar whose layout is described in the scriptures, namely Bundaish 2525. It is a calendar that we lost to the atrocities of mankind, along with the many other good things that we lost. It is a perfect blueprint of nature, and so it needs no correction for 110,000 years. That is why the word intercalation was not in our dictionary. That is why our immediate ancestors did not know what intercalation is and carried on as usual with the calendar that was forced upon them. And today the calendar that we inherit from them is in haywire. The Mazdiasti calendar is a product of an intelligent society, of people with knowledge and wisdom, people who were seekers, not believers, people who knew the earth was not the center of the universe more than 3,000 years before Galileo. Among the ancient people, Zartushtis were known for their wisdom, and the Bible has faithfully recorded that. In the Gathas, the word wisdom is used 164 times. No other word has been used as many times. In the Shahnameh, Ferdowsi claims that he has collected his information from scattered ancient manuscripts that were in the hands of the Mubets, and the wise benefited from it. Unfortunately, this culture suffered two cultural genocides. The first one at the hands of Alexander the Macedonian, the effect of which lasted 400 years, and everything good disappeared. Can you imagine? There is not a shred of information about any Iranian philosopher of that period, or the knowledge of the engineering that connected the Mediterranean to the Red Sea via the Nile River, or the science that built the 3,000 kilometers long highway, or measured the depth of the ocean from the Red Sea to the Indus River. So no surprise that we lost the Mazdiasni calendar along with them. We know that the Sasanians had to collect the scattered Avesta in bits and pieces from the four corners of the empire. When they realized they did not have matching material for the beliefs that were implanted by the Romans during the 400 years of influence, they commissioned the likes of Ardavira to complete their collection. They created Mashia and Mashiane to counter Adam and Eve, but despite it, they created them as equals. The Roman calendar was a cut and paste type calendar where Julius Caesar added July and Augustus added August to the months. And so September, the 7th month, became the 9th month, and December, the 10th month, became the 12th month. Otherwise, the Roman calendar also used to start in March. The Roman way of life requires the use of only one sense, the sense of hearing. You believe what you hear. You believe in tooth fairies and flying reindeers without questioning. This has found its way into our modern culture. We forget that the Gatha's Yasna 44:18 requires the use of 10 senses, and that too with the help of wisdom. Then came the second wave of genocide at the hands of the Arabs. This was even worse. They proudly burned the manuscript found in the libraries of Isfahan to heat the water of hammams, bathhouses, for a full year. They burnt it for a full year. There was so much material. Then they have proudly recorded the massacre of 100,000 Zartushtis in a single day, in a single city. Imagine that. They reduced the Zartushti population in Iran to a mere 7,123 souls hiding in the deserts of Lut as untouchables who were forbidden by law to learn to read and write. The 100,000 Parsis who managed to migrate to India, when they had religious questions, they referred it to these poor souls who lived in the deserts of Yas. The riwayats are the proof. Neither of them knew of the existence of the Gathas till 1859, when Professor Martin Haig found it for them from among the Yasnas that he had borrowed from them. The Vandidad was considered the real teachings, and the type of questions in the riwayats is a proof of that. Compared to these losses, the calendar was of little importance. The Arabs imposed their lunar calendar on the Iranians, and the Zartushtis tried to amalgamate the Zartushti elements into it. And over the centuries, they had to go back and forth between solar and lunar calendars. The 30-day month is closer to the lunar month, and that is what we have inherited. You may have not noticed, but unfortunately, that amalgamation is still happening even today in Iran. The Iranians have lost track of the Yazgirdi year and instead are highlighting the Islamic Hijri year of 1400, the year that Muhammad fled from Mecca to Medina. Other dates, if they are printed, they are in small prints or just a figure with minimum description. So if you don't know what that means, it's just a figure. Please, can you show the calendars, please? Here is the Zartushti calendar printed in Iran and California. Both highlight the year 1400. It's in Persian, but you can easily see it's 1400 over there. And on the other calendar, which is printed in Iran, the green one, you can see on the top, on the second page, it says 1400. In the California one, it says Nowruz of 1400 in English and in Farsi. So the Nowruz is 1400, nothing to do with the Yazgirdi year or the 3759. Now, if that is not enough, we have the celebration of our monthly festivals. Next slide, please. Which is celebrated when the day and name of the day and the name of the month coincide. Now here on this, it is again in Farsi, but you'll see the figure 29, it's readable and understandable. That 29 is 29th of Bahman. So we are having the Esfandigan festival on the 29th of Bahman. So there goes the coinciding of the name of the day and the month. The point I'm trying to make is, if we are justifying such things in the 21st century, for whatever reason, they have reasons of their own, they have to survive in Iran. But if they can change all these things, we cannot say that our ancestors did not have to mix things up under those dire circumstances. If we can do this now in this free world, they had worse control over them. Now, with this background in mind, let us study the Mazdi-Asni calendar, which has been for once rightly recognized by unbiased scholars as the only perfect calendar from the second millennium BCE that needs no correction for 110,000 years. This calendar, as mentioned in the Bundaish, is a blueprint of activities in nature. It divides the year into 4 parts of 3 months each, representing the 4 seasons. The seasons are marked by the 2 equinoxes and the 2 solstices, and not by any man-made rule. The orbit and the tilt of the earth while going around the sun is such that none of the 4 seasons is of equal length. Spring is 92.3 92 days, summer is 93.6 days, autumn is 89.9 days, and winter is 88.9 days. The total is 365.25 days. You can take away those slides. They will not be needed now. The Mazdiasti calendar divides the number of days between each natural phenomena that mark the seasons into 3 months, with the next season starting on the 1st of the 4th month. So the 92.8 days between vernal equinox and the summer solstice will give us 31 days each. I think I forgot to mention to you that because of the tilt of the earth, the 4 seasons are not equal. So we have spring with 92.8 days, summer with 93.6 days, autumn with 89.9 days, and winter with 88.9 days. The total is 365.25. The Mazdiasti calendar divides that 92.8 days of the from the vernal equinox to the summer solstice into 3 months. That will give us 31 days. The 93.6 days of summer will give us again 31 days. The 89.9 days of autumn will give us naturally 30 days each. And finally, the 88.9 days of winter can only give us 2 months of 30 days. And whatever the balance will be for the last month, which will be 29 or 30. And it will be determined by the equinox, not by any man-made rules. Each season starts with a festival. So we have Nowruz on the vernal equinox, Tirgan on the summer solstice, Merigan on the autumnal equinox, and Yalda on the winter solstice. Now, we happen to celebrate Nowruz and Yalda correctly, but Tirgan and Merigan have been given a religious twist and they are not celebrated on the right days. But for reasons, Nowruz is celebrated on the equinox and Yalda is celebrated on the winter solstice. And I think it is because the Iranian nation and the ancient empire is still celebrating that, and that is the reason why it's celebrated on the correct day and it's not given the religious twist. As I said, the Mazdiasti calendar is a blueprint of nature and very accurate. The passion for accuracy can be seen in the mathematical names given to the festivals and the gambars by our ancestors from the very ancient past. This leaves no room for superstition. Now see, look at Sadeh. Sadeh means 100, a festival that our ancestors, when they lived in Aryan-Aveja, celebrated it. It is the 100th day of the Arctic winter. The Arctic winter starts in Aban. And the 100th day is Aban, Azar day, 30 days each, and 10th of Bahman, that makes it 100. And we still celebrate that on the 10th of Bahman, and it has nothing to do with any Nowruz or anything. It is the 100th day from the start of winter in the Arctic. A very mathematical name based on season, and you cannot make a mistake. Now the Gambas, they too have mathematical names. Scholars tell us that Zerdashti year is divided into 6 parts by the Gambars. No, that is not true. Look at it. The 2 Gambars relate to the seasons of the Arctic, Aryana Veja, where our ancestors originally lived, and the other 4 relate to the seasons of the temperate region to where they migrated. The Arctic gambars are Medio Shahem, midsummer. Medio Shahem means midsummer. The Arctic summer is of 7 months. It's still 7 months, we know that. And that means it's from Farvardin to Mer, which is 216 days. So midsummer is on the 108th day. That is 15th of Tir, corresponding to the 5th of July. Now, if you look at it in the temperate region, summer starts on the 1st of Tir. So 15th of Tir will be the 15th day of summer, not the middle of summer. So that means this proves that it is the gambar from when we were in the Arctic. The second Arctic gambar is Aya Tarem or Aya Sarem, means coming of winter. Aya Sarem, coming of winter. Arctic winter is for 5 months, Aban to Esfand. The coming of winter is celebrated just one day before the coming of winter on the 30th of May, 21st of October, just before the Arctic winter starts. In the temperate region, that day is the 30th day of autumn. So it's nothing to do with winter. So these names don't match with the temperate season. It matches with the Arctic season. Now look at the 4 gambars that are from the temperate. They match completely with our seasons. Medio Zaram, mid-spring. Spring has 92.8 days. Mid-spring falls on the 46th day, 15th of Ordibesh, or 4th of May. Peityo Shahem, end of summer. Summer ends on the 186th day, so 31st of Sharivar or 21st of September. Maid Yaram or Maid Sorem, midwinter. Winter has 88.9 days, so midwinter falls on the 44th day, that is the 15th of Bahman, 4th of February. Then we have the last gambar, Hamaspat Medium, equality of heat and cold, day and night, when the sun is crossing the equator in the middle of the crossing the middle of the earth. And that's when we prepare for the revival of nature, and we celebrate that on the 28th or 29th of Esfand, just before Nowruz. This shows that the ancestors were always in the business of accuracy. You cannot celebrate this festival with any other calendar because it demands 100% mathematical accuracy. Again, if you look at Haftan Yash Hat 3, it says the coming of the season at the proper time of the solar year. Again, in Yasna 1.9, 3.11, 4.14, it says, I learn about and work with the solar year, the righteous period. Now I'm going to tell you of a festival whose name is based on the highest degree of accuracy, of the science that we have lost despite the archaeological evidence, because we use only one of our senses. We believe what we hear. It is the festival of Nowruz. Why would we call our new year new day? We have seen how accurate our ancestors were. So there has to be a very good reason for them to have called the new year new day, Nowruz. The answer is in Takht-i-Jamshid, Persepolis, where the Nowruz of 487 BCE was celebrated, and it is well documented and is evident from the bas reliefs around the Apadana Palace. Every year, the equinox happens at a different time, which we know, which means that at the time of the equinox, the sun rises at a different location on Earth every year, because it's at a different time every year. the Nowruz of 487 BCE, at the time of the equinox, the sun rose in Persepolis, in Takht-i-Jamshid. They had calculated and erected a pillar in the courtyard of the Apadana, and at the moment of the equinox, the first rays of the rising sun fell on that pillar. Can we see the next picture, please? The new day and the new year started at the same time in the entire empire, because it happened in Takht-i-Jamshid, in Persepolis. That year was the Nowruz, the new day. Every other year was Soleno, the new year. Can we see that picture, please? Temtem? Or is Mahbud?
Yes, just give me a second. I'm just moving the screen around. Hang on.
Okay. Now this pillar is no longer there, but the pedestal is still there. Even today, on the first day of spring, the rays of the sun fall on it, but it does not coincide with the equinox like it did before. This also happened in 1725 BCE in the kingdom of Baal, and 43-year-old Zarathustra had calculated it for the first time. He being a poet and an astronomer, coined the word Nowruz, for he had also coined the word Nimruz to mark the natural meridian of the earth. All these are scientifically verifiable even today. Both days you can verify the time of the sunrise and the time of the equinox at these two locations. So only those years when the sunrise coincides with the equinox in the Persian Empire, it was Nowruz. The rest of the years, it was Soleno or New Year. This again is a proof with archaeological evidence of the wisdom and the science of our ancestors, and lines up with an intelligent calendar. Thanks, we can take away the slides. And now, remember this date, 2024. It's coming in 3 years' time. The year 2024, the real Nowruz will happen in Arbil, in the Iraqi Kurdistan, where we have many Zarathushtris over there. There the sun will rise along with, at the time of the equinox, and both will happen at 6:06 a.m. We should all plan to take part in it. Now I have a proposal. The Zarathushtri calendars don't have names for the days of the week. In India, we use the Indian names of Sombar, Mangalwar, Budvar, Guruvar, etc. In Iran, we use the Islamic Shambe, Yekshambe, Doshambe, Seshambe, and so on. For the Mazdiasti calendar, I propose we use the 7 Emshorspandons as the names of the days of the week. It will be a weekly reminder of the path to be followed in life. Not the personified Emshorspandons, not the attributes of God, not the bountiful immortals, but those practical steps as mentioned in Gatha 28.3. Those that were gifted to baby Jesus, those that are a step-by-step progress towards enlightenment. And what is that? Use your mind in a good way, Vahumana, and discover the truth that is in nature, Ashavahishta. Then use it to make good products and good rules, Hash Atra Veryu, thereby creating a righteous society with lawful desires, Spanta Armati. where people are achieving wholeness and perfection in their professions, Hurvatata, and leave behind a legacy and be remembered for generations for their innovation. They become immortal. On achieving Hurvatata, for the spiritually inclined, there is the possibility of self-realization, coming to oneself. Khud a, to come to yourself, self-realization. Baby Jesus, who was the recipient of the first three Amshaspandan from the Magi, achieved the 7th step. He said, I and the Father are one. Unfortunately, they stoned him for blasphemy, and our rivals crucified him. Sorry, this jumped on me. As for the names of the days in the month, here we need the help of our learned Mubets who need to find a name for the 31st day. For now, it is named Avardhan. The 5 days at the end of the year have both the Gathic names and the regular names. But these are matters for the Mubet councils to resolve. It's a religious matter, and they should step forward and work on it. The other thing that we as a community need to decide, are we going to keep celebrating the year of our downfall, or are we going to celebrate the 3,759 years of the establishment of the teachings of Zarathustra? Of course, the Madhyasthi calendar, we have the 3,759th year that we are celebrating. So let us not insult the wisdom of our ancestors. Let us use all our senses and use them with wisdom. Let us teach others how to celebrate our festivals, not learn from them and promote their cheap philosophy like that of the half-seen table, instead of the lofty philosophy embedded in the 7 Amshaspandans. You can download the Madhyasthi calendar at www.ancientiran.com and www.zarathushtticalendar.com. Now I have something to say remind our Iranian compatriots in Iran. I'll read a verse of Ferdowsi. Yeki name bud az gahe bastan, faravon bud andaron dastan, parakande dar dast har mubedi, az u bahre bord har bekhradi. So I wish all of them would become bekhrats and take advantage of what we have in our scriptures. Thank you, and I hope I was clear of what I said, and if you have any questions, I will happily answer them.
Can we ask questions? This is Miss Sohela. Let me bring myself up. Where am I?
Yeah, go ahead, Sohela.
Good day. با درود آقای فریبرز.
بله.
زنده باشین انشالله. سایتون از سر ما کم نشه.
مرسی.
You mentioned that in Gata, it is referred to 10 senses.
Yes.
Would you please would you please say the name of the census? Do
Yes.
you know that? No? By
Yeah,
heart?
I'll tell you. We call it today. We say 5 senses,
Yes.
but in ancient days they used to say 10 senses because they took the organ also as a sense. You might have a nose, but you won't be smelling it. You might have an eye, but you won't be seeing it. You have ears, but you don't hear it. So they used to have it that way. It was their system, and that's why in the Gathas it says 10 horses. And if you go and look up in the Hindu culture, they have the same thing. They have 10, they count the senses as 10. So that is how they counted it. Unfortunately, it is in Gatha 44:18. You can go and see it. But unfortunately, scholars have told us that that is what Zarathustra was asking Ahura Mazda as a reward of 10 horses. But that 10 horses represent the 10 senses. I have an article on that on my website, on the Gatha page. You can go and read that too. So it is a system where in the ancient days, they used to count it like that. Like today, when you say screwdriver, they will ask you which screwdriver. We want hex, you want Allen, which one, Philip, what do you want? So they have so many names for it. This was their system. They used to call the senses 10 senses because they counted the organs too.
It would be appreciated if you let us know your websites that you have all the informations there.
I have gathas.ca, gathas.ca, and ancientiran.com. You can go to any one of them and it will lead you to the others also.
Thanks kindly.
You're welcome.
Can I join?
Yes, Prabhat, go ahead.
Yeah. Faribos, I've got 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
One is, what about the southern hemisphere? Does this calendar apply to that too for the seasons? Because they're completely different seasons there.
It applies exactly at the same moment, except that it is the opposite. And remember, we were located on the northern hemisphere. Mm-hmm. But because this is a blueprint of nature, it happens there also on the same date, on the same time. The equinox is on the same time, except that vernal equinox is autumnal equinox over there. Winter solstice is summer solstice over there. So it's the opposite, but at the very same moment.
Okay. And the second question is, like you mentioned, the calendar and Jarthos, you said 2000 and some odd years. Is it BC you're talking about, or you're talking about from today?
Sure.
No, with the 3759, you mean, or?
You mentioned one sentence that a calendar started.
Yeah, second millennium BC. This is what the scholars have said, Western scholars have said. They have said that this calendar is from the second millennium BCE.
BCE.
They have not given the second millennium BCE, and that's about 1700 when Zarathustra lived. So it could be from that time.
So,
and I don't know how they have researched it and how they have come to that date, but they have rightly come to a second millennium BCE date.
Okay, thank you.
But if you have no other questions, then the next question comes from Abad Garia. Abad, could you please unmute yourself and ask the question?
Durud, everybody.
Hello, Abad. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine. How are you? How's Manja Khanam? How's everybody?
Good, thank you.
Thank you. I have one question, please. I hear that in 2024, in 2024, the Nowruz is in Hawlier. And I hope that at that time we all celebrated in Hawlier and the one big group coming to Hawlier also. But I want also to, because I didn't understand very good why I I knew that the first time the sun is coming in Hawler, but I want to more explain because I didn't understand very well. And thank you so much. Thank you.
Sure. See, Nowruz is when the sunrise and the equinox happens at the same time in a location. So in Arbil, on the equinox of 2024, the sunrise and the equinox will both happen at 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:06 in the morning. So Nowruz and sunrise will happen at the same time.
Thank you.
And I understand in Kurdistan, you people celebrate by lighting flames and going up the mountain to welcome the sunrise. So it is the best place to celebrate the real Nowruz of after many years. And we should all make it a point to come and join you guys and celebrate that unique Nowruz of 2024 in Kurdistan.
It's my aim that all coming to celebrate it in Hawler.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
But if you have no other questions, the next question is from Tamine.
I have a question, Adar, for Faribuz, please. It's for Stas Bamgara.
Can Tamine ask the question? She had raised her hand before that.
Okay, sure.
Please.
Thank you. Hi, Faribuz, Durud.
Durud.
You brought in the Iranian calendar of 1400, that it says 1400, the one that's printed in Iran by the Rasti, printing press, and the one that's from California, again, it says 1400, and Zerdashti year 3759, and then April, 2021, the English. Now, in your calendar, when I say your calendar, I mean the Mazdi SD calendar, it's 3759 and the English year. Okay, so you talked about the 1400, which is not really our year, the Zoroastrian year. So what should be done about this? If you feel strongly, and if we feel strongly, what should be done? How do we react? Is it because it is in Iran? They need to put 3 years, 3 different years. Is it because we are in North America? We didn't put the 1400, we just put the 2021 and 3759. But what should be done to eliminate the 1400? Is it correct to do something like that? Could it politically have some consequences in the country, or what should be done?
I'll explain that. Tamina. See, my point in saying that was not to ask for a correction or anything. I was just pointing out that if in the 21st century we are forced, for whatever reason, political, social, whatever, I don't want to discuss the reason, but I'm just trying to point out that if we are forced to do that now, not forced with the gun, but we are forced. So why would our ancestors have not done the same thing in the last 1,000 years, in the last 1,400 years? They would have done that. And so the calendars that we inherited from them is a mixture of all the pressure that was on them, and they had to do the 30 days, they had to do 29 days sometimes because it was a lunar calendar that they had to follow. You couldn't speak Persian. A poet who went and sang a Persian poet for the Khalifa was so good that the Khalifa enjoyed it. And he asked his treasurer to give him so many gold coins. And after he got the coins, he said, now cut his tongue. And he said, why? You gave me gold and now you're cutting my tongue. He said, because you sang that beautiful song in Persian. You should have sang it in Arabic. So see, they were in such a situation. And if we today have to do such things, forget Ayaz-Gir the year and put 1400 so prominently and 33,759 in small prints, what would they have been doing? So to say that our ancient calendars, the one, the Shenshai, the Kadmi, and all whatever calendars we are following, are our ancestral calendars from the time of Zartosh is wrong. They were under pressure like we are today.
Yeah.
So that was my point. I was not asking for any change.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That was clear. Thank you.
Ustas?
Sure. I have, Faribos, thank you very much, first of
You're
all.
welcome.
And I wish to ask two questions. At one point in your talk, you mentioned for the equinox that Zarathustra was 49 years old. Is that correct?
43.
43, sorry. And what year was that in? And in that manner, can one calculate like his birth date?
Exactly. And I have an article on that on my website. And I talked about it 3 weeks ago on Bahumata also. 1738 is the year of his birth. And 1768 is the year when Shah Goshtas accepted him. And 1725 is the year when the equinox and the sunrise happened at the same time in Balkh. And this is something which is verifiable. The other two dates has been got from the Avesta astronomy, which I'm not familiar with. I've heard about it. But as far as the date is concerned, the 1725, you can verify. I have verified. Anyone can verify. You have just to find the sunrise and the time of the sunrise and the time of equinox in 1725 in the Balkh area, which is on the border of Iran and Afghanistan. And you know, the Nimruz, which is the natural meridian, is very important. It is at 63 degrees longitude, and it is again close to the border of Iran, and it's in Afghanistan, close to the border in Iran. And that's an important location for changing of the year. Yes.
This is all like 1738 is BCE, correct?
All BCE, of course.
All BCE. My second question relates to what would your recommendation be, if any, how to reconcile all the different calendars that are practiced today or followed today?
See, it's not a question of reconciling. It's a question that the Bundaish has been there all the time. And this paragraph on the calendar 2525, Bundaish 2525 has been over there. It's only a question of us implementing it. I don't know why nobody has seen it, nobody has thought about it, but it's very clear, very simple, and we have to follow what's in our scriptures. The Shanshai, the Kadmi, the Fasli is not in our in any of our books, but the description of the Mazdiyasni calendar is word by word telling you what to do in the Bundaish.
How would, then the follow-up question comes in, how would, for example, the people that practice the Senshai calendar reconcile the Roj and the month of the death?
That is, I leave that portion. I don't want to interfere in that portion with it. I leave that to our great Mubits. It's up to them. We can always maintain two calendars and have that. But at the same time, if you look at it, if the Roj is important, and if the Roj is important because of the location of the Roj. So if somebody has died on a particular day, according to the Shanshai calendar, in 30 years, the day has changed. The day has moved.
Oh, okay.
But according to the Mazdiyasni calendar, for 110,000 years, the day won't change.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you again. We have two other people. I don't know the name of the person because it's in Farsi. Whoever that person is who has raised hand, can you please unmute yourself?
Yes, my name is Khashayar Yamini. I'm not a Zoroastrian, but Zoroaster is the one that I follow. Regarding your Ms. Tahmine's question regarding why 1400, I had a comment, and that is, it's us, the people, who should demand our history. It's us, the people, who should not follow 1400, because 1400 for us, especially these people who are gathered together, these 74 people who are gathered here, our history dates far, far, far further back than 1400. And it's an insult to us to date our calendar at 1400. My greatest thanks to Faribors for his endeavors in reviving our history, are bringing it back to life and refusing to go to 1400. Anybody who uses 1400 is creating a sacrilege. It's an insult to Iranians, to Aryans. I'm sorry, I should say Aryans, because a lot of Aryans are not in Iran today. I am trying to create a calendar as well, which is not based on religion, but on Aryan nation. It's I'm calling it the Shahanshahi calendar, and I'm dating it back to 2580. I could be wrong in that, but as Faribors very rightly said, I need a name for the 31st day of the month to be able to complete this and not create right now in the Zoroastrian calendar, they have the 31st day, but the 31st day of the month, they call it Ormazd, which is the first of the 30-day month. So if any help can be given me in that regard, I would really appreciate it.
Can I suggest something? In the interest of time, if you could have this sidebar conversation with Faribos directly, because this is something a little off topic, that might be more useful, because other people also have questions, if you don't mind.
Well, thank you very, very, very much for allowing me to participate.
No, we really appreciate your joining us. Thank you. Faribos, the next question is from Farooq and Yasmin Khari. So, yep. One of them. Can you please unmute yourself?
Yes. I just had a point about this Nowruz that you said on 2024, where the equinox and the Nowruz the sunrise falls on the same day. What about the Nowruz of 2022 and 2023?
They are, like this year it was in the middle of the ocean. Next year again it is, I think, close to on that strip of between Alaska and Russia. So 2024 is somewhere where we have Zarathustra is living. Some years back it happened in Chicago, and Rohinton Rivitna is here. He celebrated it, and he put a picture of that on the cover of Fezana Journal. So it happens every year at a different location. It's a once-in-a-lifetime event for a location. It cannot repeat again at the same location for maybe a very long time because of the tilt and the fraction that we have in the rotation and revolution. So it happens once in a lifetime at a location.
Thank you very much. It is very interesting to hear your conversation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Faribos, if I could ask a simple question. So I have been in North America for 45 years. And the first time I heard an intelligent conversation like yours was from Erwa Jabagli. And he discussed it several times, okay, what calendar we should follow and why. And in 45 years, I have not seen any change. So I'm asking a dumb question. Why do we think we are going to make a change in the next year or so? So that's my first question. And second thing I learned from our Erwat Soli Dastur. One day he and I were chatting about this issue, and he said, if you don't follow whatever calendar you want to follow, but at least make sure that we all follow the gambars at the right time, like you said. So I think, at least in our society, if everyone starts making incremental changes, following gambars at the right time, then I think we can get there. I'm not sure how many people here are younger to follow a new calendar. People are set in their ways, but at least if we can follow the gambars, I think it would make a big difference to start with. I don't know what your thoughts are.
See, the question of changing of calendar in the last 45 years, yes. Today it's different. Today we have the internet. We don't have to print calendars. I, of course, tried printing it, and Biram Pastakia was helping me to print it and all that, but the cost is too much, especially not the printing cost, but the postage cost is too much. Today with the internet, we have it on the internet. You can just download it, go to Staples and ask them to print it for you. They'll print it for you for $3-4. So it is possible. It is, now is the time. It's the time of the internet, and we can do it. Technologically, we can do it. And as you said, the gambars are very important. I don't know how many people know the meaning of the names of the gambars, because they tell you exactly when to do it. It tells you the exact date. So once you do the exact date, no other calendar will be able to help you. It's only the Masdi Hasni calendar that is accurate, and the festivals have accurate names. So there we go.
We have one more question. I didn't see that. It just came up. Karishma, would you like to please ask a question?
It's more a little comment, just say thank you very much. And I learned a couple of weeks ago when I gave a talk on Hilla Faridun Rustamji from Hyderabad, that the whole Hyderabad state at one time used to follow the Fasli calendar. This is the whole of the Deccan state of South and Central India. So the Nizam could follow the calendar at that time. Just a short comment. So thank you, and credit to all of you.
And to add to that, Karishma, Akbar followed the Fasli calendar, and he was in touch with Zoroastrians at that time. He heard about the Fasli calendar, and now what exactly was the Fasli that he was doing, whether it was 30 days or 31 days, I don't know, but he was following the Fasli calendar, and he must have passed on to Hyderabad because that was a Muslim state that remained.
We have one final question from Kobat.
I have one.
Oh, Rohinton. Kobat, would you like Rohinton to go first, or you want to go first?
Yeah, Kobat,
Kobat, go ahead, please.
Faribos, is it me?
Yeah.
Okay, Faribos, the question is, you said that's exactly described in the name of the Gambar, the day you should celebrate. We have now 5 days. Between the 5 days, we celebrate one of the days as Gambar. Where did that come from?
I don't exactly know, but I have a feeling, because once when I calculated it, I had a feeling that there was a 5-day difference between two calendars. And because we go by the road, those 5 days difference was sort of compromised, that we can do it in any 5 days. You don't have to do it on your day. I don't have to do it. We'll do it any of these 5 days.
5 days, okay.
And that was like, you know, this festival of Hirambo. Hirambo is a festival which is a Sade festival according to the Kadmi year. So it happens to be somewhere around about March. It used to happen in March. Then about 10 years ago, now this is very important because see how things change, how culture changes. About 10 years ago, when Mubed Niknam was the member of parliament in Iran, and it happened that the Fasli calendar and the Kadmi calendar had the days on the same day. So this Hirambog used to happen on the Ashtad Roz of the Kadmi calendar. And it happened that those 4 years, the Ashtad Roz of the Fasli calendar was also on the same day. So he proposed to these people who were following in Sharifabad to follow the Fasli calendar instead. And they accepted it. And now Hirambog is being celebrated according to the Ashtad Roz of the Fasli calendar. But after 4 years, things changed. The Kadmi calendar moved. And now it is not on the Ashtad Roz. The calendar has moved about 3-4 days because they don't have the leap year. So now they are arguing that now this is the whole thing has changed. Now it is not 100 days to Nowruz. And but it has stuck, and now just a few days back, a week back, we celebrated in Iran, they celebrated the Ashtad Roz and went to Pirehrisht and celebrated the Hirambog. So
Right,
this is how it happens.
Sorry.
Yeah. I heard you recommend that we celebrate the Gahambars on the correct days. Could we add to that Tirgan and Mergan as well?
So I want to make very sure that you all know, I didn't talk in my capacity as the NAMC president. That is what I learned from my esteemed teacher, Soli Dastur, and I personally follow that. And as ZAC in LA, we all follow Gambars according to the seasons, even though we follow the Shenshai calendar for all other activities.
So I'm suggesting we add to that Tirgan and Mergan.
That's a very good suggestion. I'll bring it up to our board. Okay, Sohila, last question. We are 3 minutes past the hour.
In Iranian Zoroastrian calendar, in California and in Toronto, which I'm involved with them, we do celebrate all the festivals, including Tirgan, Mergan, Jashn Sadeh, and everybody is welcome. Especially our Parsis. My husband is a Parsi, and he always comes and appreciates that. And we are welcoming everybody to come.
Sola, I would request you to next time celebrate Tirgan on the 1st of Tir, on the solstice, on the summer solstice, not on Tiruz and Tirma.
Yeah,
Tiruz and Tirma. Tirma and Tiru is 10 days later.
Oh.
But because our calendar is wrong, it goes 10 days later. But if you celebrate it on the day of the solstice, the summer solstice, it's something which is announced in all over the world. It's an international thing. So try and celebrating it on the, and Merigan on the autumnal equinox, not on Mer Ma and Mer Rose.
I definitely will pass the message.
Because as you see, I showed you that poster, they have even gone away and are starting celebrating Isfan Gone in Bahman.
Yeah.
Mr. Faribors, can I have a comment, please?
Sure.
So because at the Asian sister, our Asian sister, they would celebrate not only one day. For example, Mehregan was celebrated for 16 days. Tirgan was celebrated for 10 days. So it does matter based on your education. And we really thank you for a really, really beautiful presentation and knowledgeable, and then teach us that lecture so much. But based on history, we know that it was not only one day. It was several days for Mehregan. It was several days for Tirgan, as we have Nowruz for 13 days. So is it in your, based on your education, I'm asking you, is it okay? Doesn't matter anytime we celebrate it, or we have to be right on time of first day of the Mehr or first day of the Tir?
If you want to celebrate it for 20 days and 30 days and 10 days, it's fine. But if you're going to celebrate it only for one day, and in these days we do not have the luxury of celebrating it for many days, so at least let us celebrate it on the right day. Because what happens is, this shows the knowledge of ancestors. Today, Galileo has taken the cup. It belongs to our ancestors. Our ancestors knew about all this long back. And by celebrating it on the right day, we claim that right. And of course, if you're going to celebrate for more days, it's a different question, but we don't have the luxury. We have to celebrate it only one day. So let's celebrate it on the right day.
Faribors,
Yes.
Faribors, I sincerely thank you for taking the time to make this presentation. It was a great presentation. We all learned a lot. And before I forget, I want to sincerely thank Kobad, Mehbad, and Temtan for putting this together. So thank you all for joining us. If there are any comments, please let us know.
And thank you everyone for coming, and thank you NAMC for having me. And I hope that we all decide to do something about it. And I would tell, it is the people who have to do it, not the organizations. The organizations have limitations, but we as individuals don't have it. So the calendar is out there. Go to Staples, ask them to print it for you, put it on your wall and follow it. And once we do that, the organizations will automatically follow. They will have your support to follow. They need your support to follow. So please download the calendar, print it at home or print it at Staples, and carry on. Thank you very much. Thank you, NAMC, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was beautiful.
Thank you very
But
much.
educated. People should be educated to celebrate. And as you have lectures, this lecture should be repeated. Please, if organization have record of it, put this one on YouTube and everywhere, that people will be educated.
All right. Thank you again. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.